So we'll get right into it. My name's David Newman. I'm a senior program manager with our Office 365 communications developer platform.
And I'm Srividya Chandrasekharan, and I am David's colleague, also with Office 365 communications platform.
Great. This session is really a part two of an earlier discussion we had on an overview of the communications platform we have as a part of Office 365, including Skype for Business and Teams. Just so I get a sense in the room, how many folks were actually in that session earlier today? So we got some, a little under half. So we're going to cover some similar topics. We're going to try to go a little bit deeper than we went in the earlier session. So it may be a repeat for a few, but we'll try to make sure we can get everybody up to speed on what we're covering. So we're going to start with some general information, and then we'll dive into some more specifics as we go through the session on the development interfaces. Really, I want to frame out, as we're started, is where we kind of think about the Office 365 communications platform and what are the capabilities that we're enabling for you as a developer of custom solutions. So as a part of Office, we have multiple canvases that we expose throughout the different products of Office, including our documents, different conversations, pages, that we expose as canvases for developers to build extensions and capabilities within those canvases. We also give development opportunities for standalone web apps, mobile apps, and services. All of these capabilities are built on the core for Office 365, which is the Microsoft Graph API. Microsoft Graph brings together some of our different product silos into a single development interface, as well as exposes some of the intelligence capabilities we have in the Microsoft Graph and Office 365. So one thing I do want to call out is, again, we made a pretty key announcement earlier this week around our strategy of bringing Skype for Business and the Microsoft Teams Office Hub experience together. So we are bringing our enterprise voice meetings capabilities directly into the Microsoft Teams Hub experience. That's a pretty key transition that we're going to make, and it's going to open up some new opportunities for developers to be able to integrate in different ways as a part of that Hub experience, both for integrating inside of the canvas itself, as well as building new services that can leverage the new intelligence capabilities in our next generation Skype platform. So our focus in this session is really going to be on the services aspect. We're going to cover in some specific details around our roadmap on those services capabilities and talk through some of the new work that we're doing in that space.
Let's start off with what we have today. We have a huge development surface area with Skype for Business for us. These are some of the various APIs as well as scenarios we have lit up over the past couple of years with Skype for Business, both with the Skype for Business server as well as Skype for Business Online. So if you take a look at it, if you want extensibility with your desktop apps, we have the client SDK to do that. If you want extensibility with server-based apps for your Skype for Business server, we have our UCMA SDK for that. So these are the set of services along the client stack as well as the supporting server UCWA APIs that we support for both Skype for Business server. In addition, we also enable these stacks for Skype for Business Online, wherein you can have your app SDK for your remote advisor scenarios. You can use your web SDK, which is a JavaScript-based SDK for your embedded conversation scenarios, as well as you can have bots with SFB Online, along with the supported server-side components for that. So let's see what we have available in the Teams platform. So just to kind of iterate on that, given the fact that we made an announcement of a refresh of the Skype for Business server, these components that we had available with the server would continue to be evolved along with the server. And when you're trying to develop new applications for Skype for Business Online, we'll be looking at an evolution in that space. And therefore, in order to set the conversation, let's see what we have available in the Teams app platform now. So I'm expecting most of you have already used Teams client in some way, shape, or form. So if you are familiar with it, Teams already has a very powerful extensibility story already, with the tabs, wherein you can include your first-party apps like OneNote and Excel, or you can have third-party apps like Smartsheet and other apps that you use in your day-to-day work. In addition, Teams also support bots as well as connectors, and these are available for you to use today. In addition, in preview, we have actionable cards as well as compose extensions and a whole bunch of interactions available with Teams. And there are other sessions that are actually going in extreme detail for each of these extensibilities and how do you develop against it. In our section, as David mentioned, we are going to be focusing on the services portion of the communications platform.
Thanks, Sri. So I do want to spend a couple minutes on the key areas that we are bundling under that services platform. In the session today, we're going to focus on two of those key areas. The first is programmable voice and video, and the second is intelligent messaging. Programmable voice and video, we'll go into some detail there, but for those who are familiar with the platform that we have with Skype for Business, this is more around bringing capabilities we've had through our managed API for Skype for Business server in order to do trusted scenarios like call control, call center type applications, routing control, service-side applications that are really interacting within a system to be able to provide value to end customers. The intelligent messaging is another key area as well that we're going to spend some time on and look at the capabilities that we have through Bot Framework for actually building bots that can interact and be service-side applications with conversations that are happening within the Teams client as well as hub experiences across Office. We also have some focus on extending this communication services platform with deeper intelligence, analytics capabilities, as well as capabilities that we have, new features through cognitive services and things that can make our meetings more valuable by adding applications as a part of the interactions. So to start, we're just actually going to jump right out of the slides. The first thing that we want to show is actually a quick demo, and I actually want to go through the process. This morning we showed an example intelligent messaging bot, and I showed that in a couple different channels. I don't want to spend some time, it's a 300 level session. Actually just going to walk through from scratch what it actually looks like to create a bot for Microsoft Teams and for Skype for Business. And so to do that, I'm going to do the quickest way I can think to do that within a small session time is we're actually going to spend a few minutes and use the Azure Bot Service. Azure Bot Service is a free service that's a part of Azure that you can use to integrate with Bot Framework as well as accelerate the development that you're doing of bots. So in this case, I'm actually not even going to have to go in and write code unless I want to make some modifications. I can actually use these templates that are provided through Azure to actually go and create a bot. So enough talk, let's actually go right into it. We're here in Azure Portal, so what I'm going to do is actually just create a new service. I'm going to do bot service, and so feel free if you're interested to follow along. I'm going to actually just use this template that's provided. What this is going to do is it's actually going to set up the needed app service components for my bot, and it's actually going to enable me to do this all through the Azure portal. I'm going to go and create this bot. As I mentioned, it's going to ask me for a few pieces of information, so I'm going to call this Ignite Session Bot. And there we go. I'm just going to use some default components for my app service plan, and I'm going to go and create this. So this is actually going to go and deploy the components. You can see this is in progress. This generally takes a couple minutes. While that's going, I'm going to talk about one new announcement we made this week around Bot Framework. We actually announced the release of the Skype for Business hybrid channel for Microsoft Bot Framework. What that basically means is you can actually build bots with Bot Framework and enable those for users in Skype for Business server on premises through this hybrid channel approach. So as long as that tenant admin has a topology that's set up with their AD configured for DirSync to AAD, even if all their users are on-prem, you can actually enable a bot through Bot Framework in the cloud so your on-prem users can actually contact that bot. So I'll go through that actually as part of this flow. So we can see here this deployment exceeded. Let's go find that bot, Ignite Session Bot. And there we go. We can see the app service was created. Let's go take a look at this bot. Great thing about the bot service, again, I can do this all from Azure Portal. So in order to set up authentication for this particular bot, we'll actually register this with Azure AD. So for our application management, for Skype for Business as well as Teams applications, we use Azure AD for that application management. And so here, to get started, all I have to do is create an app ID through the app registration portal. So I'll just sign in with my account. And we'll go ahead and actually, it will create an app ID for me. And I will use that to save back to my bot. So it's generating this app ID. This client secret will be used for authentication from my bot to the service. I can just copy this app ID right here. And I'll copy this over into the field. I'm also going to generate, again, a client secret app password for authentication. I will copy this down. You have to make sure to copy this. You can see I've done this a couple times. Copy this so that I can save that. That'll be the only time you'll get access to that client secret. You can also generate new client secrets at a future time. So there we go. I've generated. I can come back here, paste that password. This template maker actually lets me select a programming language that I want to use for my bot, either the C# Bot Builder SDK or Node.js. I'm going to go with Node.js. And you can see I mentioned these templates that are available in Azure Bot Service. This is going to save me some time and let me use the tools to actually create the bot interactions rather than having to go in and program the dialogues myself. So convenient part of setting up bots. So I'm going to actually do the question and answer bot. And before we do that, I'm actually going to show you what this Q&A service actually is. So this is a tool that's provided as a part of the Azure Bot Service. It's going to actually let me create some question and answers that I think my users will be talking to the bot to get some answers. And it's going to actually let me do that in a very easy way by just specifying a URL that has my question and answers or providing a document that has a preset knowledge base from my organization. So let's go in. I'm going to go, let's just create a new service. It's going to ask me to name this new service, so I'm going to call this Ignite Session Q&A. And here we go. I've got a URL. It says just enter a URL for the knowledge base that we're going to be using. And so I'm going to go find this URL, and I'm going to look up aka.ms/successwithteams. And we're actually just going to use the Q&A we have for the journey from Skype for Business to Teams. So one quick thing, if you haven't seen this site already, mark down this site. It's got a lot of great information about what we're doing with Microsoft Teams and how we're bringing capabilities, including a great section with frequently asked questions. So you can see there's a bunch of questions in this page. All I'm going to do is grab this URL. I'm going to go back over to my Q&A maker here up here. I'm just going to paste this URL, and we'll go create. This is actually going to parse that web page, pull those questions and answers for them, and throw them into a knowledge base for me. So you can see there's some default values here in the knowledge base. I've got this source for the website, and here's all my question and answers. So that's really all I had to do. I'm just going to go and publish this Q&A, and we'll click publish. And there we go. So we've published. I've got the Q&A. Now let's go back to my Azure bot. We can see here's my real-time knowledge database. Go back over to Azure. Now let's actually go create our bot. And you'll see the reason I did that step ahead of time is so now I actually have knowledge bases available linked to my Azure account. I'm going to go use this Ignite Session Q&A that we just set up. Click OK. And now it's actually going to go and provision my bot. So in a second, I'm going to be able to configure the channels that I want to enable for this bot. I'll be able to test my bot through the portal. This frame is just essentially a frame of what's available in the Bot Framework Developer Portal. As this is getting provisioned, I do want to do a quick search and show you the Skype for Business Bot Framework on MSDN. Let's go take a look at this link. We have information here on how to create bots for the Skype for Business channel. This week, we just published information on the hybrid support and how you can actually enable users who are in on-prem, and this is again in developer preview. And we go through the details here of actually how to set that up as a tenant admin of an environment. So let's go back over. Still deploying. Let's look at some details here. So before we enable the channels, the way you're setting up bots in Skype for Business is a tenant admin will actually provision an instance of your bot. The tenant admin will be able to select a display name as well as set SIP URI for your bot in the Skype for Business environment. And it will be created as a virtual user that will be able to be contacted via a Skype for Business user in the client and communicate in the back end with your bot service. And so let's go see. Okay, looks like this is complete. Great. So I can jump into some code and make some edits here. But what I'll first do is take a look. Here's the default channels that are configured. What I'm going to do is show you how we created this bot. Let's quickly enable it for both Teams as well as Skype for Business and take a look at what that looks like. So I'm going to add the Teams channel first. I'm now configured for Teams. Great. I'll say done. Let's go add the Skype for Business channel. Great. I'm configured for Skype for Business. To add a Skype for Business bot to a tenant, I mentioned that it is a tenant admin action. And so if we click on Learn How to actually add the tenant for Skype for Business, we'll see we get some additional information on how to use the Skype for Business admin PowerShell module to actually add this bot to my deployment. And so to do that, I'm going to go use PowerShell. Let's open that up. And what we'll do is just follow the instructions here in the page to add this bot to Skype for Business. So you can see the first command, again, it's just I need to initialize my PowerShell session. And it's going to ask me for my admin credentials. So I'm going to go provide my admin credentials for this environment. And it's going to get me signed in here. And once I'm signed in, great, everything looks good. It gives me this commandlet to actually run. And so the commandlet, it just consists of my application ID of that bot. And then a tenant admin can actually configure what name they want to show for that bot and also the SIP URI. So if I go over here back in PowerShell, I'm going to copy paste that. Let's set a friendly name for this bot. Ignite Session FAQ. Let's call it that. And then for URI, I'm going to select a SIP URI within my domain. So let's call it Ignite Session FAQ. And my domain happens to be meteo.onmicrosoft.com. Everything looks good there. And so I'm going to go run this commandlet. While this is running and we're waiting for a response, let's go look at the Microsoft Teams channel. So if I go back, we know we enabled this for Microsoft Teams. What I can do first is actually I'll just test my bot inside of the web portal within the Azure Bot Service test page. I'll send hi. Hopefully this maps to the requests that I had previously with the Q&A maker. So I should get a response from the bot. And if we go and look at the Q&A maker, well, let's retry. If I look at the Q&A maker, we can see here that I have hi. I should get a hello back. Let's go back over. Great, so I got a hello. Let's do another quick test. We had a bunch of questions here, right? So let's look at a question and let's say, what's a good one we can ask? Oh, here's a roadmap question. Let's ask that question. So if we go over and ask a roadmap, what's the roadmap look like for Skype for Business? And so it turns out that that didn't provide a match. And what we can actually do is if it doesn't provide a match, there's a way to actually train your database. If you go over here to test, you can see that I can actually ask that same question now within this experience. And so what did I ask here? Let's go back. What did I ask? What's the roadmap look like for Skype for Business? So if I say, what's the roadmap look like for Skype for Business? So this is actually using the language understanding services, and it's going to actually pull up what it thinks my intent is within here. And usually it's pretty good, and you can see here it actually came up with an answer in this case. But I can actually choose the most appropriate answer or provide a new answer within this Q&A maker. So it allows me to kind of build in some of that intelligence. So for example, now if I go back and look at my bot, I say, what about hybrid? We should have a question and answer in that Q&A. I didn't ask the question in the exact format that it was in Q&A, but because it can parse my intent using the language understanding services, it knew that I was asking about hybrid, and it had an answer already for hybrid. So a lot of that is configured by default. It saves you some time from having to build in all those dialogues and intelligence yourself. So we'll go check. Okay, our Skype for Business has run. That's complete. We can go and look at that now, but let's actually look at Teams first. The way to test a new bot in Teams, is we actually go look at our bot settings. We know there's an app ID here. Let's copy this, and let's go into our Microsoft Teams client. And what we can do is we'll just start a new conversation, and we'll search using that bot app ID. So before I've actually uploaded or sideloaded a bot into Teams, a developer can actually go and test messaging the bot just by using that app ID. So you can see it found my bot. I can go and say hi, and I should expect a hello coming back from this bot. Great, so I've tested that, and I'll say, let's go look at some of the other questions that I had in here. Let's see if we can ask another question of the bot. So here we go. What will happen to the Skype brand? I'll frame it, what about the Skype brand? Make sure that our bot is working. There we go. So now we've enabled our bot for Teams. We ran the PowerShell commandlet, enabled that for Skype for Business. I will actually go into the Skype for Business client, and let's actually test that that's working for me through Skype for Business. I'm going to log in as a user within that tenant. And so I'll use my David account there. And we'll see if our bot is now responding on Skype for Business. So this commandlet can actually be run for both a pure online, Skype for Business online environment, as well as a on-premises environment. Oh, that's not good. We'll try again once we restart. As well as an on-premises environment. The additional step for a tenant admin who's running Skype for Business server is they have to actually run this commandlet, an additional commandlet in on-prem that creates an on-prem AD object, and will actually dir sync that object into online. So let's see if we can do this really quick and show from Skype for Business. Hopefully it's working now. If not, we will just move on. Okay, here's my client. Okay, we're signing in. And we have to grab the SIP URI. So here we know this is the SIP URI of our bot here. Come into Skype for Business. There I'm logged in. The AD object takes a few hours to sync the friendly display name. So in order to just do our initial test, let's actually look up this just user by their full URI here. That looks correct. And we'll go and say hi. And we'll expect to get a hello back from this user. Great. So, what about the Skype brand? Let's ask the same question, make sure everything's looking good. Great. Okay. So we've just enabled a bot in Skype for Business and Teams using the Azure bot service. So pretty easy to get going. Pretty powerful bot. If you're coding from scratch, it would take quite a while to build that type of intelligence in. So the value here is that we can actually write once, if we're using bot framework, enable for multiple different channels. It's a very easy process to actually go and enable this type of intelligent messaging scenarios through multiple channels. So that'll be a key part of the transition. Bot framework is a great component in the developer platform because as we get more customers adopting Teams, you can actually easily enable your same bot that you built for Skype for Business, enable that in Microsoft Teams as well. All right, with that, let's jump back into the slides. Let's go over here. So the other area we want to frame out before we go into more specifics is, again, we talked about this in our earlier session, how we think about programmable voice and video. The particular scenarios that we're looking around our interactive voice scenarios, call center, ability to access direct media through recording, more advanced call handling and routing scenarios are areas on our roadmap that we're focused around this programmable voice and video. I'm going to just skip through this so we can get right to some of the details. I do want to cover, again, some of the components we have today in our Skype consumer development platform. We do already actually enable calling bots as well as direct media bots through our Skype consumer platform integrated with Bot Framework. There's a key set of capabilities here. I split into two areas. One is what we call our local media capabilities. We're going to go into a lot of detail what that actually means, and our remote media capabilities. These enable two different types of scenarios. One is where you're writing an application that is doing the signaling and communicating with our service, but you're not actually terminating media at your cloud service itself. We are handling the media processor on our service side, and you are actually interacting with that application and our service through APIs. Things like a play prompt API, for example. You are providing a play prompt with a file location. Our media service is actually interacting with that meeting and playing the media. The other scenario that we call local media is actually where you are accessing raw media streams directly. We provide the APIs to initiate that session and get connected to the media sockets, but you can actually interact with media directly. Those are the two kind of development options we have today in consumer. As we bring those forward, we're looking to expose those services and capabilities through the Microsoft Graph. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the session, Graph is framing the single API surface for our next generation set of services. And so we're going to expose those capabilities for real-time communications directly through the Microsoft Graph API. We will provide a set of SDKs that can help bootstrap you, and we'll cover a little bit of that in some detail here. Okay, so before we even go into the architecture details, we're going to show you two demos. We showed one of them earlier. We're going to try to show both today in this session. And so we're going to switch back over now to my machine to start. And we're going to jump directly into Microsoft Teams. The first demo that we're going to show is around our remote media scenario. So writing a bot that is interacting with the service over signaling and triggering media interactions. And this is going to be our basic IVR type scenario, our calling bot within Microsoft Teams. And if I go here, you can see I have some test bots here. I'm actually just going to place an audio call directly to the bot. And let's go ahead. Very loud.
Welcome to the fake call center. Please hold while we are transferring your call to the next available agent.
And the bot is going to transfer me over to Shri.
So I am now the agent here, and I am able to receive the call that was transferred using an IVR and accept the call.
Great. So again, basic demo, but what we're showing here is that we can enable calling scenarios where you have a bot that can do things like accepting calls, being able to transfer, route those calls from your back-end bot service. What we showed here was, again, a call to a bot through the Teams client, which is a very valid and valuable scenario. For enterprise bots, what we're also going to be enabling is the ability to assign a PSTN phone number to your service bot. And so your bot can actually receive phone calls over PSTN and be able to do very similar type functionality and be able to route those calls and interact with those calls. So again, this is a basic foundation. It's not a full, rich set of capabilities, but it's a foundation for the platform that we're going to have for remote media. And this is real code running on that platform today. Okay, so second scenario, let's look at a Teams meeting here. So the second scenario we're going to look at is what we called our local media or direct media scenarios. This is where you have a bot application that is actually going to join a meeting and get direct access to raw media streams as a part of that meeting. And so to get that started, I'm going to jump into one of our test channel teams here. And you can see we do have a Teams meeting in place here. What we actually wrote for our bot is a controller. And what I'll do is I'll pause here for a second. Detail on this isn't super important at the moment. What we're doing here is our bot has a controller that is expected to receive a request from Postman in this case, and will actually trigger that bot to join a specific meeting. So in this case, we are, again, this ID is identifying that specific Teams meeting, and we're actually able to get this bot to join into the meeting. Now, bots can, of course, be added as well by an Add Participant button, but in this case, we are just programmatically triggering this in our initial dev version. So what we're going to do is actually, to get started, I'm going to just have our bot join this meeting. So we'll go send the request through Postman to our controller here for join call. We'll see I got a 200 OK. Then let's go back over here. This is the particular meeting we were joining with the bot, and we'll see that we just got the bot joined into that meeting. Shree's also going to join that meeting as well, so we have some more video there.
So just join the call as well. Yeah.
And I'm going to join here. And I'm going to make sure to start my video, and I think I'm hard muted, so I'm going to unmute myself. Make sure we have audio flowing at this point. Okay, so now this bot, you want to mute yourself? There we go. So this bot is actually doing a few things here. It's reading the video stream of the active speaker in this case, and it's actually playing that video back as its own video feed in the conference. So bots can get access to media sockets of participants within that conference, as well as it can inject its own media into the conference. So you can see that this is our TIX meeting join bot joined into the conference. And so we can do various scenarios now because we can get direct access to media. So this is playing back my video in real time. The feature that we've added here, and I mentioned earlier the cognitive services that we've added in play inside of our programmable voice and video strategy, we've actually added cognitive services into this particular interaction using our speech services. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to try first without a headset, but we put in some keywords so that the bot can interact with the media. Media bot, turn your video red. Media bot, turn your video green. Media bot, turn your video blue. So with the integrated cognitive services, we can now actually, in real time, interact with the media stream, and all it's doing is just based off of the logic we have there for the voice commands, it's taking a specific action on the media. Interesting part is there's a lot of different raw media scenarios that you can now enable using that type of functionality. Pretty cool?
Should show
Cool.
the transcription on that.
Okay, so there's more.
And the recording.
And the recording. So, yes, Sri, feel free to jump in as well as I'm talking. So, what we also enabled with the cognitive speech services is we not only did individual voice commands for triggering the bot to take actions in the meeting, we are also taking a real-time transcription at this point of this meeting. And so if we go and look again, we'll go to Postman. We set up another controller in the application. And so I'm going to use this call here. And we'll do just get on this API. What it's showing here is just some information. So our bot is doing some different functionality interacting with the media. It is taking screenshots every few seconds of the interaction of the active speaker. The hue bot we already saw, where I can change the hue of the video that I'm playing back. We're also doing two other things. We're taking a text transcript based off of the voice, and we are also doing audio-video recording based off of the streams that are coming to the bot. So let's take a look at transcript first. So I'll just take this URL. And we're going to paste this in the browser.
So this text actually captured the entire conversation that David and I had while the bot was running. So it's basically able to understand it and use natural language processing and able to give us the archive here. We see powerful scenarios for call center, for example, if you want to monitor and record a call and have an archive of that conversation. So these are where these scenarios would play into it.
So this is actually updating in real time. So I'm going to get closer to the microphone. And it's a lot better, actually, if I'm using the headset. So I might actually plug the headset in so we can take a look. This will just take me 1 second. There's a lot of echo. It's not super accurate, but you can see that in this JSON, you're actually seeing the cognitive services actually provides a confidence level based off of the data that it's reading from the audio stream. And so I'm hoping that my device switched here. Let's go take a look. Yep, so we're switched over. Let's go back over.
I can see the transcription going. So
Testing out the transcription bot. Using a headset, this is pretty accurate. Cool. So you can see, I know there's a lot of text on the screen. I'll try and make that a little bit bigger. It's actually fairly accurate. This is the same core technology that we talked about that we're using for doing transcription of Teams meetings, enabled through these types of real-time media bots. And so lots of different use cases you could have here for building third-party development apps on top of this interface and being able to interact with media directly. So let's pause that. Let's get back into the details of the architecture of these solutions. So I'm going to end this call and jump back over.
All right, so that was some pretty cool demo, wasn't it? So let's basically discuss about what's happening under the hood. We showed two scenarios there. One was remote media scenarios, wherein your media processing is happening entirely in the cloud. The other one was more of a local media scenario where your media processing is actually occurring locally. So a simple architecture over here is we obviously announced the new Skype backend here. Our new Skype backend is actually running our new signaling as well as media services, which we are hosting. The bot application, basically it's your application, your custom application, and you have your custom logic in there. What you're going to be embedding in that is a communication services SDK. For a remote media architecture, there is really no reason for you to have any media locally, so all you're doing at that point is just signaling, and the Azure hosted services on our side is actually handling that signaling back to the Teams client, and the media is directly flowing between our service as well as Teams client based on the signaling commands that you are giving over to the new Skype backend. Local media architecture, on the other hand, is slightly different because you are actually terminating or getting the media all the way locally and making modifications to it. Like we just saw, as the commands were played, the media was changing color, or the video was changing color for the same for a similar scenario. In this case, your communication services SDK actually has a local media processor, and you are doing a whole bunch of media processing locally. This local media is then directly interacting with the media services that we have hosted in the Azure cloud, which is then passing it back to the Teams client. Media, however, flows locally between the bot as well as the Teams client, obviously, because we don't want to be hitting the Azure backend for flowing the media through. Signaling, on the other hand, works pretty similar to what we had for the remote media architecture as well. A few key points I want to call out here is with the local media processor, this is a very advanced scenario which allows you to process media frame by frame. In fact, the bot currently receives 50 audio frames per second, and each containing about 20 milliseconds of audio. And similarly, for video, we're doing about 30 frames per second with roughly about 33 milliseconds of video that you can actually take in and process and parse at that point. So just again, just a disclaimer here, this is still under development, so the interfaces are not final. This is just for a demonstration only at this point. So this is the code, just a sample code we have for the remote media scenario, wherein we have the call initialized to receive callback URI. And this can be triggered asynchronously either from your bot when you are initializing the SDK or as part of receiving an incoming call from another endpoint. For remote media session, you need to set the call handler as well as the call description. And if you look at the local media over here, You have, in this particular case, we are only setting up the audio socket. Again, this is just an example. I see some folks taking screenshots and photographs of this one, but this is just an example. Interfaces are not confirmed yet, so I'm just calling that out over there.
The UWP component, essentially?
This is a C#.NET cloud service, and so this SDK is actually a server-side SDK. So it's not a UWP application, but this is a C# interface that is built on top of the services graph API that we talked about. And so we're just giving an example here of the method for when a call is initialized. So when you register your application, you'll register a callback URL. And when you either get an incoming call event to your service or you're just proactively kicking off a call, you will create a call object. And then you can see here that actually once the new call is actually detected, this method will be called. And we're just showing that versus remote media versus local media, there's some more setup for local media scenarios. So you're actually initializing some of the audio socket settings when you're using a local media flow versus in the remote media, you are actually just initializing your signaling handler. So these aren't meant to be definitive API interfaces, but they're meant to illustrate what that C# service development would actually look like.
Exactly. Just one thing, I do want to repeat the question for recording, which is, the question was, is it an UWP app? And that was the answer for that. So next is local versus remote media technologies.
Yeah, I do want to spend a few minutes on this. So again, like we mentioned, we do plan to give developers both options. Now, there's various considerations for when you might use local media versus when you would want to use remote media. Generally, for most cases and some simplistic voice scenarios, you would generally want to use the remote APIs. The reason for this is that for remote, you have a lot more flexibility in terms of the development platform that you're using. You can use the REST API with any programming language to create your service, and you're really just communicating via signaling over the wire with our service. We handle the hosting of the media processor and the interactions that are happening there, and we abstract that away for you so that you have simple APIs for doing things like accept call, play prompt, transfer. You would basically just call those APIs directly, and then we handle some of the media interactions and abstract that away. Another value here is that you can write a completely stateless bot in this case because it's just the signaling and we are handling the media. If one instance of your bot goes down, for example, you can receive those callbacks at another instance. So these are just some considerations. When we look at the local media scenario, this is a lot more highly computationally intensive for being able to open the media sockets, being able to plan for scalability of how many open connections you can actually have to your Azure cloud service and the VMs that you actually have set up. And it's actually a highly intensive workload. The way we support this is actually the local scenarios actually are required to be written with a C#.NET interface. So some of our direct media libraries require that, as well as it must be Windows Server hosted. And of course, if you're terminating media directly, you need to have an awareness that while you are directly connected to that media, you are in a very stateful situation. And so you have to understand if you know that a VM is going down, for instance, you handle that gracefully as part of your application. So generally, most scenarios, we'll be looking at building out our remote media APIs. So even things like speech to text, doing speech as a part of a call center interaction, we expect to provide APIs through the Graph API and our Communication Services SDK that will allow you to do those types of interactions without having actually terminate media. Now, there's some interesting scenarios you can enable with terminate media, as you saw today. But there is more development effort required as well as scalability considerations for that type of model. So I think we're pretty much out of time. This was a very quick session. We really wanted to give you an overview, and we did focus on the future and some of the vision for our communication services platform. We wanted to focus on that just given our announcements this week. as well as getting you ready for what's coming from a development perspective. I want to share this link again, Success with Teams, as well as some links here today that allow you to get started with some of those specific development components that we went through, as well as a direct link to the bot framework information. On bot framework as well, there's a section there for Skype audio calling and real-time media calling for Skype Consumer. If you're looking for something to dive in today before we're ready with the enterprise components to release and preview, you can actually go and check out what's there today from a Skype Consumer bot perspective and actually get a sense of what it means to interact and build a cloud service that directly interacts with media or uses the remote model. So there's some great links on there that you can go and even get started today, as well as a lot of info we didn't cover in today's session around the Teams extensibility on the client side, tabs, bots, and extensions, and some of the other new preview capabilities. I'd highly recommend to check out some of the other sessions at Ignite this week to be able to learn more about those particular client integrations, as well as be able to dive into some of the Skype for Business server SDKs that we covered very briefly in one slide. So with that, I think we'll end, and we'll go over to questions.
Yes.
I understand now why I asked maybe the wrong.
Could you go to the
Could you go to the mic, please?
Thanks.
So as a follow-up, so I misunderstood the intention of the SDK before, but I think at Build you demonstrated like a client-side SDK, even hosted, I think even in Unity or something like that, where you could play Skype client like outside the Skype client, like embed Skype for Business in your own apps. Like how do I do that?
So you're referring to the build session.
I think
that
you
we
showed
had.
it on HoloLens or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that actually is a version of Web SDK that we've used on that one, just to demonstrate what are the capabilities we can do with HoloLens as well as some of the Skype APIs. This one is slightly different in the sense that the specific SDK we are talking about is actually towards how do you write services-based applications with the new Skype backend, and that services the Teams client. So it's a slightly different surface area over there.
But there's nothing on the client side, like again, like back to like a UWP component you can just plug into your own apps or something like that to play Skype for Business client.
So just to answer your question, so we don't have a UWP SDK for client-side integration. And also to your statement, the SDKs aren't designed to be a full client replacement.
Right.
They're designed more for specific integration scenarios like customer care, for example, in web pages. But the web SDK that you're referring to, we didn't go into detail today, but we actually have some past sessions at both Build and Ignite where we did an entire session, deep dive on what we call the web SDK. Web SDK is designed for integrating inside of web browser applications, both voice and video directly embedded. And we actually cover those in some detail in some past sessions, so that's one of the reasons we shifted our focus in this session more to the services.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay. Another question?
How far out are we with signaling in the media in the Graph API?
Some of these things are under development. I think we can give you more information on that as it becomes available.
So we're at a point, this code that we did show, again, these are live demos. We saw it, again, not working earlier in the earlier session. These are bleeding edge demos that we're working on, and like Shri said, we'll release more dates of when we have code drops available to you. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to confirm, in one of the slides, you were showing when you have the bots and then the local presence you had, I think it was called the new Skype backend. Is that the Azure infrastructure that you have built that runs all of these? Is that
Yes, that is
correct?
correct.
Okay, just want to make sure. Thanks. Thank you.
And if you check, for more details on that, if you look at some of the announcements we made earlier this week around the evolution of our enterprise offerings, as we integrate the Skype for Business capabilities into Teams, we're also making changes in a next generation set of Skype infrastructure that will improve things like voice and video quality for enterprise, as well as better integrate intelligent communications and cognitive services. So some of our previous sessions, I think, in this week will cover some of that in detail. Cool. Any other questions? We'll end there. Please, again, please evaluate. We do read all the feedback. Please try and hit that link at some point and give us some feedback on the session. Thanks.
Thank you.